Man, oh man, oh man. Sheesh. What a game, y'all. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. This is Swipa Cam, man. That game did not go how a lot of people wanted it to go, but the thing is, I'm not going to hold y'all, bro. That was a spectacular game from the Philadelphia 76ers and the Denver Nuggets. That was absolutely amazing. If you didn't get a chance to watch that game, I highly suggest that you go back and do so. That was one of those games that as the season plays on, you're going to remember the performance that Embiid put up. You're going to remember the performance that Jokic put up. You're going to remember the fact that the Denver Nuggets had a 15-point lead at the half, and they still end up losing the game because of just a tremendous job by the Philadelphia 76ers. And honestly, the Denver Nuggets simply did not show up how they needed to show up in the second half. So it's a lot of different stuff to get to, but first and foremost, you got to give your shout outs. When people play, people play. When people show up and do what they're supposed to do, you got to give them the credit. Tonight, the Denver Nuggets lose 126 to 119 on ABC, a 3 p.m. game right in the middle of the day, right before the NFL playoffs tomorrow. And it wasn't the kind of game that you want to see happen if you are a Denver Nuggets fan. But if you're a Philadelphia 76er fan, you're looking for a key win, looking for a big win from your team. You haven't played anybody that you felt like was up to par. And then you're looking for an MVP level performance from your hopeful MVP against the back-to-back MVP. And you got both of those things in a huge win. Tonight, Joel Embiid had 47 points, 18 rebounds, 5 assists. He was 18 to 31 from the field, 4 of 7 from 3, 7 to 10 from the free throw line, 2 blocks, 3 steals, 6 turnovers, a plus 14 in a game that they only won by 7 points. Tonight, James Harden had 17 points, 4 rebounds, 13 assists, 5 of 10 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, 4 of 6 from the free throw line, and he was great as well. So the dudes that were supposed to take over for the 76ers, they did their job. Embiid down the stretch was amazing. He went into the second half, and it wasn't as if he was playing very well. He was shooting a lot of different shots. But at the half, it was 73 to 58 Nuggets. And Embiid had a good bit of points. I mean, he had like 25-ish points, I want to say, so 22 points, something like that. Then he came out in the second half, and he just cooked. And to be honest with you, it was one of those games where if you're a Nuggets fan, you've seen this before. Jokic tonight had 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists, 8 of 12 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. He was a -1. They lost by 7, and he was a -1. What's the story of the game? Jokic had one shot attempt basically in the fourth quarter. Jokic had one shot attempt in the fourth quarter. This was one of those games where you absolutely, if you are the back-to-back MVP, you have to expect more and expect better from that player. That's it. That's the story. The fact is that Jokic played an extremely good first half. Extremely good in the first half. At the end of the half, Jokic had 16, 4, and 5 on 6 of 7 shooting. 16, 4, and 5 on 6 of 7 shooting. He was a plus 18. That means in the second half, Jokic in the second half would have had 6 points. He had, what is this? He would have had 6 points. I'm sorry, actually, he would have 8 points. 8 points in the second half. He would have had 4 rebounds. And would have 4 assists, 6 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. 6, 4, and 4 in the second half, and he shot the ball just 5 more times. So Jokic came into this game thinking that, this is going to be one of the Memphis Grizzlies games where I have a 13, 13, and 13 stat line. Now, Jokic was playing outside of the paint, which is why his rebound numbers were not high at all today, because they were not wanting him to be inside of the paint. He was roaming a lot. Embiid operates on the perimeter a lot, so his rebounding numbers were going to be down. But the fact is that Jokic had 12 attempts tonight, and again, in the first half, they were up 73 to 58. So in that situation, that's fine. If you're up that many points and you're diamond, MPJ is hitting, Gordon's hitting, KCP's hitting, Bruce Brown is hitting, everybody is going off. But then you don't show up in the second half because you're trying to be a facilitator. And again, I'm not a hot take artist. That's not what I do. Like in terms of one game kind of surmise as a player. There were a lot of takes that I disagree with. Like some people were saying that Jokic lost the MVP battle and all this other stuff. I'm like, bro, if you think a game in January is going to sway that well when you get to March and April, then again, you too locked into the moment. You can't be that much locked in. The fact of the matter is really this is the first time since the Dallas Mavericks game when he had 19, 8, and 8, where you could legitimately look up and say, man, Jokic just didn't do enough. This is the first time since that game, and they've had nothing but great performances since then. So I think what I'm looking at now is I'm looking at a player who was in facilitator mode way too often. And when PJ Tucker got switched on to him in the second half and they had Embiid roaming, it threw off the game plan, and the Nuggets did not make the adjustment that they should have. Doc Rivers in the second half outcoached with Michael Malone. The bench didn't play well. Jokic wasn't aggressive enough. And Jamal Murray, at the end of that third quarter, just was going all over the place. And once Embiid started coming downhill and he started hitting a lot of those mid-range shots, it was a wrap. It was an absolute wrap. So you got to give credit to the 76ers because they did what they were supposed to do. And they didn't lay down. The Nuggets, though, they didn't show up. That was the other side of this. So I think the thing is that Michael Porter Jr., I think he had 20 points. Did he have 20 in the first half? Porter had 20 points and 6 rebounds, had 11 shots, 7 of 11, and 5 of 9 from 3, a +8. Porter played 29 minutes. Gordon played 29 minutes. And then Caldwell Pope played 34 minutes. I really don't know what – that's what I'm saying. Even some of these comments, y'all, like, contenders don't – anyway. That's what I mean. Jokic had 12 shots. Murray had 16. Caldwell had 8. Gordon had 8. And then Porter had 11. Again, they played a very typical brand of basketball for the Nuggets, meaning everybody can have a pretty consistent shot profile. And then Bones Highland had 10 attempts tonight. They had 6 players with 10 or more attempts. 6 players with 10 or more attempts. 5 players in double digits. But when you're in a game like this where you need more of these kind of crucial baskets, again, Matisse Thybulle was giving Jamal Murray the business too. So there was a lot of different things at play tonight. Jamal Murray had 22, 4 and 6 on 7 of 16, 2 of 7, and 6 of 7. He was a -14. Yeah, that bench. Yeah, the bench was an issue. They lost their minutes on -9 and Bruce Brown, a -11 in Bones Highland, and a -12 in Jeff Green. The starters were a -14, that's because Murray staggers. +5 in KCP, who had 8, 5, and 4, 3 of 8, 2 of 4. Aaron Gordon was a +5 with 18, 5, and 3 on 8 of 10. Michael Porter Jr. was 20 and 6 on 7, 11, and he was a +8. So, as I said, they were playing egalitarian basketball today. And when you're playing in a situation like this, I think the thing is that, Ramona Shelburne was very acute at the start of the game and really a couple of games ago. She basically came out and said that Embiid is taking this matchup really seriously. Like, this is like his Super Bowl. Jokic, on the other hand, came out, like, once they got that 15-point lead, it turned into, like, how do we get a good team victory? And how do we make sure we're maintaining that? But then at the very start, basically the third quarter, they went from a 15-point lead to a 6-point lead like that because of the pick-and-roll game. Embiid started hitting those middies, Harden with Diamond. There was just a lot of different things that were happening. So at that point in time, it's like, all right, Nuggets, like, how you going to respond? But then the Denver Nuggets get back up. They got back up about 15 points, and then it was just a collapse. The end of the third quarter was terrible. Bruce Brown fouled Joel Embiid on the 3-point attempt somehow, some way at the half court. Bruce Brown just had an awful game tonight. He had 7, 4, and 3, 3 of 8, 1 of 3, -9, bad turnovers, bad fouls. It was just one of those things where it looks like, bro, game-changing plays. Bones Highland was 4, 10, and 1 of 6 from 3 on 11, 1 of 2. Again, the main bench player, and then Jeff Green, 4, 1, and 1, -12. Bad defense from him, bad defense from Bones, and bad defense from Brown. And that was a wrap. Like I said, 3 of the 5 starters were all in the pluses tonight, and Jokic was only a -1. So, yeah, it wasn't a good game. And then the 76ers shot 51% from the 3. The Nuggets ended up making none of the 3 basically almost down to the second half. And they shot 14 of 34 for 41%. Nuggets shot 54% from 2. The Nuggets also went 85% from the line on 17 to 20. And then the 76ers were 16 to 24 on 67%. Nuggets had 14 turnovers, though. That's facts. 14 turnovers, 28 assists to 31 assists. Harden also, again, no turnovers, 13 assists. Not good enough. Hey, the 76ers had 10 steals, and there were 4 techs for each team. So it was just one of those games, man, where the team that wanted to win, it was more desperate to win, won the game, and they should have won the game. They should have won the game. The 76ers came out with a purpose, and they should have won that game. And the Denver Nuggets didn't do what they were supposed to be. Jokic was throwing these lobs, like he had like 3 turnovers on a lob where he easily could have got a floater. Just little stuff like that where it's like, yo, just again, I'm good, and the NBA is good, and you're good when you want to facilitate. But sometimes you get so pass heavy that situations like that happen where the momentum is sapped. And literally, sometimes you got to get a little bit more ISO, and so a little bit more aggressive to find your shot, especially with PJ Tucker. Now, PJ Tucker was getting up underneath Jokic, but Jokic, you had to buy his hair. There was a point in time, Jokic got an offensive rebound. And when he got this offensive rebound, he was 4 feet away from the basket. And instead of just turning and shooting, he threw a cross-court pass to Bones, and Bones shot a like contested rush three-pointer that he missed. And again, I'm just looking like, and it wasn't up until the 76ers got up 5 when Embiid hit his last three-pointer, or second to last three-pointer, when I was like, yeah, the Nuggets are going to win this game. But it took until that point because the Nuggets had been in control the entire night, and they just flattened out across the board. And it starts with Jokic, it starts with the MVP. So it wasn't a great game on that end. You wanted to see more from the Denver Nuggets, but that's what they did. They didn't show up in the second half, and the 76ers came out and they took it. So that's a huge win for them. Now the standings, the Nuggets are 3 games up on the Memphis Grizzlies. They're 34-16. Actually, they're going to be 2.5 games. They're going to be 34-16 after today. And then the 76ers are moving up. They're 2.5 games behind the Celtics. So, again, MVP stuff, I mean, maybe January. Jokic wasn't even leading until February last year. The thing is Jokic has a bunch of good games coming up. They got the Pelicans, they got the Warriors, the Hawks, the Timberwolves, Magic, Hornets, Heat. So if the Nuggets stack up more wins, and then he's beating the Warriors, beating the Heat, the Mavericks, and the Cavs, and the Grizzlies, then people are going to – it's not – that's what I'm saying. Like, people sometimes lock so far in on one game. And if one game changes your mind, then you have a much more narrow view of basketball than you should. This game was about Embiid making a statement, but if your favorite was Jokic going into the day, then your favorite should still be Jokic. So, again, I saw some of that on the timeline. I was just like, I don't know where this is coming from. So, anyway, this was a good game from the 76ers. They did what they were supposed to do. The Denver Nuggets didn't show up in the second half. But, yeah, man, it is what it is. I'm really, really happy for Embiid and for Harden. 17-13 and then 47-18-5. Like, that's a Jokic stat line. Like, that's a Giannis stat line. And Embiid came out and did it today. So he was the best player in the game of the year so far. I think for the 76ers, I think the Celtics game is still probably more important for the Nuggets just from a where are we standpoint. But again, man, Nuggets offense was booming. They scored 73 points in the first half. And then they come out today and didn't even score 50 in the second. So, 46 points in the second half, I believe. Yeah, man, it just wasn't a good close for them. But it was a good game. Thankfully, the Denver Nuggets have an opportunity coming up against the Pelicans. That game is on TNT. And then they have the Golden State Warriors, and that's a local televised game. So 2 big games coming up to get some more momentum back and get back to 20 over 500. So, we'll have to see you all. So, again, good game, y'all. Hey, I'll catch y'all on the other side.